Welcome to the Our World Heritage 2021 debate. 2021 debate is a year of events focused on protection, conservation, and management of World Heritage. We want to uncover untold stories to broaden our views on heritage practices and future perspectives. Knowledge gathered this year will be published in 2022 on the occasion of the 50th anniversary of the Convention. The Our World Heritage Initiative is created by individuals working on 100% voluntary capacity. We would like to point out that Our World Heritage provides an open dialogue platform that is based on voluntary work of session organizers and speakers. Our World Heritage welcomes diverse viewpoints in the spirit of collegial debate where mutual respect is afforded to all. Please note that the expressed views do not necessarily reflect the official position of Our World Heritage. We thank today's speakers for telling their stories, and we thank you, the listeners, for your kind interest and questions. If you want to remain up to date on our activities, you can follow our social media. We maintain channels in multiple languages to break through the language barriers and connect to local communities. You will find all links on our website, ourworldheritage.org. Thank you for being with us today, and we wish you a very fruitful event.
Welcome to the opening webinar of Heritage, Place and Memory, the theme of September among 12 themes of the Our World Heritage Initiative. I'm Jiyoung Kim, co-convener of the Heritage Places Memory theme. It is my honor to welcome you all. Today's webinar is the opening of the month. It will be mainly composed of the panel discussion on the theme. Afterwards, introduction on the major event will be followed. To begin with, let me invite the representative of the convening institution, Konkuk University. Professor Jae-hyun Choi, floor is yours.
Thanks, Jihyun. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Hello, everyone all around the world in a very small global village. It is my honor to introduce myself here. My name is Jae-hyun Choi, a professor of geography and world heritage studies, Konkuk University, located in Seoul, Korea. I'd like to welcome all of you joining today's opening session as a September event for OWH initiative. We are going to deal with the heritage, place, and memory as our subject. As you know, World Heritage Site in the place are somehow carrying the intangible dimension of memories and local values for local communities, associated people, and beyond. Our memory team has developed 5 sub-themes about heritage, place, and memory, including intangible value inside places of memory, changing meaning of a place in relation to heritage values and identities, presentation and interpretation on the common memories in heritage making of different sites, diverse, plural, and dissonant memories in heritage sites, and indigenous and local community voices and values for site management and conservation. During this September, we are going to have 8 times webinar about 5 associated themes and use roundtable, opening and closing ceremonies. Please join us and share your own ideas in order to reflect the diverse voices into World Heritage Convention. First of all, I'd like to introduce our memory team. We have several partners from all around the world, like Konkuk University in Korea, International Coalition of Sight and Conscious, we call the ICSC, and ICIP, interpretation and the presentation of e-commerce scientific committee, and the INSEP and King's College London and Great Zimbabwe University. Borrowing this chance, I'd like to express my gratitude to all my team members, our team members. Please wave your hand while I'm just introduce you. People recognize you. Okay, let me start. Dr. John Louis Ruxon, who is our honorable coordinator. Please wave your hand. John Louis. Yeah, he just take up his headphones. John Louis, please wave your hand, please. Okay, thank you. And also Jihyun Kim is my co-convener and moderator for today's opening event. Please wave your hand, Jihyun. Also, as a session organizers, I'd like to introduce Ahmed Scounty. Thanks. Christopher Young. Thanks. Hiba Akaraf. Sue is unfortunately not joined yet. And then Elizabeth Sikas. Hi, Elizabeth. And Deok-Sung Kim. And Jim Taylor. Hi, Jim. And Ella Beccassi. Hi, Ella. And also we have a student volunteers here. Please turn on your camera for a while, just a short second. Jung-eun Lee, she's actually our big helper. And Hyunjae Kim. Hi, Hyunjae. And Jinhyuk Chang. And another person is the Lubna Tahiri. Lubna is not showing up today. Sorry about that. Thanks to all of you for your support and your sacrifice and your hard work to make this wonderful memory team. Now I just asking Jihyun to take the microphone again. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Professor Choi. Next, we invited a representative of the advisory committee of our World Heritage as a special guest. So Dr. Mike Tana.
Jihyun, connection is not well connected, so maybe introduce Dr. Mike Tana again.
Good morning, good afternoon. I would like to, first of all, it's indeed an honor and a pleasure to open this auspicious 9th month of our World Heritage debate and give congratulating remarks. And first and foremost to the incredible team under the guidance of Konkuk University, of which Jay has actually given all the details of all the people. Our World Heritage came about because concerned citizens felt that the World Heritage Convention is at risk, not just because of threats to the physical fabric, but also at risk for losing its memory and values. To counteract these risks, our World Heritage maintains that civil society must take a proactive role in the implementation of the convention. The current month's debate highlights that heritage places are composed of diverse, plural, and sometimes dissonant memories and associations. As these places can be developed by different groups, a collective memory is not always homogeneous, thereby challenging the concept of outstanding universal value and its paradigm. Morris Halbach, who coined the term collective memory, considered that it is always selective, as various groups of people have different collective memories, which in turn give rise to different narratives and modes of behavior. The task is to find a more inclusive approach and open up to voices which may have been omitted, ignored, not heard from the past and even future generations. Heritage places and memory, perhaps we should say memories, I would like to quote my mentor, the late Professor Marcel Dubois, who considered how to maintain and respect the unity and identity of a community framework and the settings of tradition. He used Augustine's definition of the word monumentum as a mistaken etymology revealing the truth, being monumentum, to call to mind. The function of a monument is to record something to memory. This is a wonderful definition in the conservation of the city, its buildings and landscape, to keep alive memory, to combine synchrony and memory, to respect for history in the consciousness of a living tradition. Memorials are the shipwrecks of time, wrote Francis Bacon, also representing the scars of history and the sites of conscience. These are essential, as in the celebrated dictum of George Santayana, those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. However, David Reef wrote that though forgetting does an injustice to the past, sometimes remembering does an injustice to the present. So let me end on a thought from Samuel Johnson. It would add much to human happiness if an art could be taught of forgetting, all of which the remembrance is at once useless and afflictive. If that pain which can end in pleasure could be driven away, that the mind might perform its function without encumbrance and the past might no longer encroach upon the present. On behalf of our World Heritage community, I wish this monthly debate much success, and I'm confident that this will provide an important contribution to our global report in extending our memories for the generations of the next 50 years and the convention. Thank you.
I thank you very much, Dr. Tana, for your congratulatory message. Now we will begin our panel discussion. The topic is why heritage, place, and memories are so important. And I'd like to ask Professor Che to moderate the discussion from now on. The floor is yours.
Yes, thanks, Jian. First of all, I'd like to introduce the main discussion themes for today. Why heritage, place, and memories matter. Over the years, there are major changes in the concept of heritage, seen as a major contribution to sustainable development and the social and economic well-being, as well as the sense of identity. Any place in the world can be carrying heritage values. Such cultural landscape and the history of a landscape approach has been widening heritage concept toward more inclusive and holistic approach, recognizing the importance of the intangible dimension of heritage and the heritage interpretation. World Heritage Convention is told as a good example of a value-led approach, focusing on the outstanding universal value based on universality. However, the OUV of World Heritage property may not be the only value of the site. It is because local values or associative values, such as different or even conflicting values, may be perceived by various groups in the same place. Especially the associative values related to memory of a place is so important not only for interpretation, but also for management of a heritage site. However, memory of heritage places may have both a positive approach aspect in the plural and divergent context, and negative aspect in the nationalist or particularistic context. Here, we can bring up several questions how to make a formal recognition of a memory of a heritage place. What way or how we can identify and describe the significance of a place and memory to decide whether to retain it or not. Also, how should the significance of a place and memory be managed? What is the best way to resolve conflict on dissonant memories of heritage places? Moreover, in a broad sense, what would be proper strategy for World Heritage discourse to take more inclusive approach for various issues like climate change, place and memory, diversity, human rights, sustainable development, and so on, in terms of nomination process, as well as conservation and management program, and so on. I like to bring up cordially inviting our session organizers to talk about this point from their own experience while organizing the sessions. You're going to have a 4 minutes to talk. Thanks. Let me give you the speech order. First, I like to ask Ahmed, then Christopher, Elizabeth, Jean-Louis, and Ella. That is in order. So I like to asking Ahmed, please give your own opinion about this subject. Thanks. Floor is yours, Ahmed.
Thank you very much, Jay. I would like to thank the conveners and the coordinator, Jean-Louis, yourself, Jihan, and all the members of the Team 9 of the Our World Heritage Initiative. I'm honored to represent INSAP to this meeting, to this opening session, and I wish every success to the activities related to our Team 9. The recognized values of the World Heritage cultural and natural sites are mainly tangible. They relate to physical attributes identified by researchers and experts during the nomination process and reflected in the statement of the outstanding universal value. These values might be an archaeological site, the fabric of a historic town, the architecture of a monument, the geological features of a mountain, or the biological diversity of a forest or a coastal site. Thus, the information conveyed by the site that justify the criteria for inscription rely primarily on these tangible attributes. Third of the inscribed sites on the World Heritage List are directly or tangibly associated with events or living traditions, with ideas or with beliefs, with artistic and literary works of outstanding universal significance, according to the criterion 6 for inscription on the World Heritage List. However, the processes through which intangible values are identified, selected, and formulated may be politically influenced or oriented. As heritage making is embodied in social processes, values might be diverse and even dissonant. Jean-Louis will talk about dissonance later on. Some of these values are silenced and do not contribute to the interpretation of the site, as they are not considered as of outstanding universal significance. Moreover, values change over time. Some may rise and others decrease at different moments in the life of a heritage site. The present associate team on intangible values conveyed by INSAP, myself and my colleague Lubna Tahiri, who could not attend our meeting. This this associate team aims to discuss the importance of this set of invisible values for the understanding of heritage sites. It seeks the participation of diverse actors, including youth, for a more inclusive interpretation of the sites. Jihan will give more information on the webinar we are planning to organize on September 21. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ahmed. Next, our speaker is Christopher Young. Please, Dr. Young.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody. My thanks go, as Ahmed's did, to the organizers and my partners across this theme, and particularly to Hiba Al-Khalaf, who is organizing the changing meaning of heritage places, part of it, with me. Values are created. Could I have the next slide, please? Values are created because people perceive them and recognize them. If somebody doesn't think that something is a value, the value may not exist. And heritage places have values because people attribute values to them. And any place will have many different values which come from recognized by different groups or different people and different organizations. The view that we tend to get of heritage places focuses on the physical qualities very largely, very often, because heritage professionals and the national and international designation systems have for more than a century focused on those aspects. Most other stakeholders, I've come to realize, focus more on uses and stories or memories of these heritage places than they do necessarily on the actual physical remains. Next slide, please. And as has already been said, values change, they can increase, they can decrease. And much of the apparent changing meanings of heritage places is actually the result of giving more weight to the views of stakeholders who are not heritage professionals and officials. If we talk to local communities, they give us a different perspective, which often hasn't been recognized. But change can also be caused by conflict, natural disaster, socioeconomic change, new research on heritage, or changes of interpretation, which introduces new categories of meaning to particular sites. And we need to work out ways of assessing the changing meaning of heritage places. And there are various and innovative tools which can be used to map out meaning or sense of heritage places and their changes. And these can include digital tools, public consultation, survey, internet work, crowdsourcing of ideas, and social media. Mapping these is important, and it should involve not just heritage professionals, but also civil society, including youth, local and international stakeholders, as well as the national heritage bodies and systems who've always done this. Next slide, please. The World Heritage System is not well equipped to deal with changing meanings. In any case, the outstanding universal value of any property is likely to include only part of its values, since the system will only recognize those values considered to be of value to all humanity. And the implementation of the World Heritage Convention makes it almost impossible to change the outstanding universal value defined when the property is listed, unless you create a full new nomination. So I think that it's likely that recognition of all values can only come through the management system for each property, and new guidance on such a comprehensive approach needs to be developed. Next slide, please. And in our final slide, in our session on the 14th of September, we will be exploring the changing meaning of heritage places and how such places can be managed and incorporated into the recognizing outstanding universal value of existing World Heritage properties and how they're managed. Thank you very much.
Professor Che, you are muted.
Sorry, I just using two different buttons. Sorry, Elizabeth, the floor is yours. Thanks, Christopher.
Thank you very much, Jay. Thank you all. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. It is such a pleasure to be involved in the Our World Heritage Initiative and to be part of the opening session today. I imagine we would all agree that heritage sites come alive through the power of the stories they hold, but those stories, as we know, don't necessarily unfold organically or fully, especially those that are complex, contested, or divisive, as most indeed are. At their best, heritage sites are truth tellers, connectors. They're even catalysts for action. The power in their stories must be wielded with intention, so that there's room for exploration of their truths, often multiple truths, so that there's room for reflection and, over time, new understandings of the past. This exploration, this evolution and understanding is ideally just the beginning, not the end goal of the best interpretive plans. Indeed, the end goal is transformation. If the lessons of the past aren't harnessed in the service of building more just and inclusive societies, they can reinforce false or revisionist narratives, reopen old wounds rather than be a force for good, for fostering new perspectives, new insight, even for healing. So how can we ensure that the past is not only remembered, but that it serves as a foundation for transformation rather than deepening divides? To begin such a process, we might look at a site's programs, exhibits, interpretation, and ask whose voice is missing, whose stories should be centered here. Is it women, Indigenous community members, local community members, victims of violence, victims of oppression? We see in this slide just a few examples of sites of conscience. Two of them are also World Heritage sites that are asking these very questions with the goal of deeper engagement and transformation. Among them, Monticello in the United States, which tells a story of Thomas Jefferson, but also, and only recently, tells a story of Sally Hemings, his slave who bore Thomas's children. The site is collaborating with Hemings' descendants and the larger community of descendants of enslaved people to ensure their stories are not just included, but centered. The Monticello Peace School, located on the site of a Nazi massacre outside Bologna, Italy, uses its site for educational programs that examine the societal context that made Nazism possible in Monticello as well as other places. Monticello uses art, dialogue, performance, and personal narratives to spark debate and engage participants in their programs, especially youth, in deep reflection on concepts such as the victim-oppressor dichotomy and how these explorations might be applied to our lives today. And Villa Grimaldi in Chile, a site of torture and detention during the Pinochet era, today is a peace park and a site of conscience where survivors of the site, as well as families of those who did not survive, find solace, healing, and yes, transformation in actively shaping the stories that are shared there. Our upcoming panel discussion focused on inclusive interpretation on September 16th will share practical examples for engaging communities with diverse or conflicting perspectives presented at heritage sites. Panelists from exemplary sites of conscience and other heritage sites will share how they are fostering new understandings through interpretive planning and public programming. At its core, this is a discussion about power, about who chooses what stories are told. By selecting only stories that might be told more comfortably about a site's history, by choosing not to reflect the full story, including contested memories, we are no longer working in the service of truth-telling. We are perpetuating the inequitable power structures that surely led to those contested memories in the first place. I do hope you'll join us for our panel on September 16th to explore these issues more fully. Thank you.
Thanks, Elizabeth. And I'd like to ask John Rui as our next speaker. Thanks, John Rui. Floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Joy. Hello to everybody. Much has already been said. I would especially like to address two issues. First, the issue of universal value, and second, the issue of site of memory of remembrance, especially the sensitive issues of divisive memories. And there will be a webinar on the September 23 that is being organized together with Harry Shim from the preparatory office of the WIPIC. First, concerning the outstanding universal value, I really believe it is a key concept of the World Heritage Convention, because the World Heritage List is for a limited number of sites with common exceptional importance for all mankind, for present and future generations. This is a very selective process. On the other hand, at the national and local level, thousands of heritage sites deserve conservation for their tangible and intangible values. So, the World Heritage sites have a high visibility, but there are few sites with the issue of outstanding universal value. We should keep a relative perspective on those points. Now, the point is to define an inclusive, pluralistic concept of universal value that could be enriched by cultural diversity according to the NARA document, and also recognizing the experience of human communities living or have been living in the site. I really believe that the promotion of universal values is fundamental. It is a parallel, we can have a parallel with the case of human rights. The initial Convention of Human Rights has also been enriched by the rise of the second and the third generation. We should have an open view of the concept of outstanding universal value that would be open to all culture. Now, in general terms, for all sites of memory, I'd like to make 2 points. First, the significance of the sites depends not only on governments or official services or experts, but also on communities with interest in the site, including the children and the grandchildren of those who lived in the site in the past. And second, the interpretation is part of the management of the site, as was stressed by Christopher. It should involve the various stakeholders with the support of technology and interactive devices. Now, the second issue, to be brief, relates to the sites of memory with associated values related to remembrance. Numerous sites are a source of pride. You know, in the introductory video, you did show the Palace of Peace in The Hague. This is a place of remembrance that could be considered as a positive contribution to humankind. However, and this is the difficulty, the history of some sites is dissonant or covers painful experiences in the past. I think we should make a distinction between the national level, where you have social injustice, violation of human rights, discrimination, lack of recognition of minorities or of indigenous communities, and on the other hand, the international level, as it is in the case for the World Heritage Convention, when sovereign states are concerned. The issues are still more sensitive, particularly in relation with sites of past colonial domination or of recent conflicts. We will address those issues during the webinar of September 23. I just like to point out 5 possible actions that could be undertaken. The very first one, in echo to what Michael Turner said at the beginning of this session, in order to avoid partial or nationalistic interpretation, non-state actors should intervene and play a major role. Civil society, NGOs, academia, university, they can bring the different perspective to the history of the site. Second, there is a wide range of possible answers, from plural narratives to recognition of injustice, to apologies, to reparation, or to reconciliation. The whole range should be explored according to the case-by-case approach. Third point, which was very much stressed by Elizabeth, is to connect past with current similar issues like racism, migration issue, difficulties, or imprisonment in order to move forward. We can call for action, especially for young people. And which is very important also is to involve contemporary artists in graphics or theater, which is very important to make the site living. Fourth point, there is a wide interest in international or regional network. We can observe the European Heritage Label or also the Central Asian Sub-Regional Network on Intangible Heritage. This is a very interesting connection that could be established between the sites in order to improve their practice. There are also UNESCO programs like the Slave Route or Memory of the World, offering a diversity of approach to deal with such sensitive issues. And finally, for sites of divisive memories or recent conflicts, we should also look for alternative programs to the World Heritage Convention, preferably outside an intergovernmental framework. And the International Coalition of Sites of Conscience, I believe, is a good example of that type of cooperation. Thank you for your attention.
Thanks, Jean-Louis, for your great comment and your own opinions about the point I brought up. And the next our speaker is Ella. Ella, please, floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank the organizers and our team at our World Heritage, and also Jim Taylor, who is planning this thematic session with me specifically. My name is Ella Bekeshi. I am the co-director of Heritage Education Network Belize, which is one of the partner NGOs organizing this month's event. And our event will specifically focus on Indigenous knowledge practices as living heritage for sustainability. Now, Indigenous practices have enabled people to cope with issues such as healthy nutrition, illness challenges, or extreme weather events for many, many years. Now, these practices offer decision-making options relating to, for example, disaster preparedness, risk avoidance, and they also enable more sustainable living. Today, when we all aspire towards a more sustainable development and more sustainable development trajectories, our objective is to highlight selected case studies specifically from Belize in Central America that embrace this indigenous knowledge, and also to encourage the acceptance of the ancient methods and practices, and including intangible heritage specifically tied to these practices as legitimate forms of knowledge generation. In our session, participants will have a chance to discuss the case studies and to elaborate on the challenges posed by our presenters. And as part of our World Heritage, we ultimately hope to bring about a deeper understanding of sustainable practices and a move towards participatory governance, participatory research, and participatory political mechanisms. So I will be short. I do hope that you join us on the 28th of September and that you enjoy the session with our presenters from Belize. Thank you.
Thanks, Ella. And then we have our local organizer, Jim Taylor. So he is the natural heritage expert. So I'd like to give a short, brief time and asking Jim just telling us about what is the relation, the natural heritage with the place and memory. Thanks, Jim. Floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Ron, and thank you everybody for an amazing panel discussion so far. So I'll greet you from the southern tip of Africa, not far from the cradle of humankind, where we're told humanity replenished the earth. The important thing to connect with memory for me is that amazing statement that was earlier made by Michael Turner. If we forget our past and we forget the problems of the past, then we are doomed to relive them. So for me, that is just a palpable, powerful memory. We need to remember our past, understand it, and particularly in Africa, where depending on the environment, depending on our life support systems, clean water, fresh air, has been part of civilizations ever since the cradle of humankind. What better thing to remember than memory, heritage, and nature? So thank you all so much.
Thanks, Jim. I think that all audiences here might be understanding why we choose this theme, heritage, place, and memory, and then what our panelists are thinking about this theme, and why it is so important for the World Heritage management and conservation. And I asking the Jian and about our program introductions after this opening section. Jian?
Thank you very much, Professor Che, all the panelists and who also participate in the discussion. It's a great pity that we cannot have more time to continue this interesting panel discussion, but there is a good news. I mean, 5 sub-thematic events will be held during entire of the month. So let me share the screen where you can find further information. This is the website of our World Heritage. And among the 12 sub-thematic debates, you can find us here, Heritage Places and Memory. And on the bottom of the page, you can see the list of events. So according to the calendar, let me show one by one. The first session will be held on the 14th, is about the changing meanings of heritage places. And you can find the concept notes of the sub-theme. And they are going to introduce very interesting cases. This session is organized by Christopher Young and Hiba Arkalov. And the interesting cases from Arab region and also Eastern Europe, Asia, and Caribbean, different part of the world, the cases will be presented. And the second event is on the 16th, Innovative Model for Inclusive Interpretation of Cultural Heritage Site. This is organized by Elizabeth Silks and Sue Hodges together. And according to their prior case study calls, they have prepared interesting cases as well. And they were going to ask a very interesting questions like how history is being presented and who manage this kind of perspective and interpretations, and what would be the most effective inclusive community centers interpretation, and so on. So you will see the programs, list of speakers on this web page. The third is on the 21st is on the heritage site, Intangible Values. This webinar will be conducted in French. However, you can find their discussion with English subtitles later on at our World Heritage website. And this session will going to be organized by Ahmed Skonti and Lubna Tahiri from INSAF in Morocco. And they are going to cover very different cases, also again from different parts of the world. And you can find their programs, speakers, bios, and their photos as well in this website. Next, the fourth session is led by Jean-Louis Luxen and HUPIC, the Preparatory Office of Heritage Interpretation under auspices of UNESCO. This session to be held on the 23rd of September. We're going to cover the diverse, plural, or even dissonant memories. And then during our panel discussion today, Jean-Louis already covered this concept not very well, and I believe it really inspire your ideas, and I look forward to your participation in the event. And then those two speakers, international experts, will going to deliver their own ideas with very interesting cases. The fifth session, which Ella just mentioned, for indigenous knowledge practice as a living heritage for sustainability, it's going to be held on the 28th of September. And then this webinar, we're going to share very interesting video clips and then share the ideas from experts. So the program here shows that the diversity of the speakers from different parts of the world. In particular, as this the subject of the webinar is about the indigenous knowledge and community, the representatives of the communities we're going to attend as speakers. So I believe they're going to deliver a very lively ideas from the community levels. So these are the 5 sub-thematic events where you can find the information. And then last but not least, our memory team has prepared very special events with young people. So I will going to ask our student volunteer, Hyunjae Kim, to explain a little bit about our youth roundtable. Floor is yours, Hyunjae.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Hyunjae Kim, the student volunteer of the memory team. I am highly delighted to participate in the event, and it is a great honor for me to meet international heritage professionals and local communities. As a student volunteer, I'm happy to be part of the Youth Roundtable, and I would like to share the main concepts of the youth event with you. During the last several months, a number of youths around the world have participated in the youth video contest. For promoting the event, we provided video guidelines to tell how to create the video clip, and posters and information were posted on our Instagram and Facebook. Among various submissions, the organizers in our team evaluated and selected meaningful clips according to our own criteria. We look forward to the winners' participation in the Youth Roundtable soon. The next slide, please. Our team focused on the main ideas as follows: the significance of the heritage, the sort of value which we should preserve, and the way to transmit memory to the next generation. In terms of winners' video of the contest, they deal with the various cases, including natural heritage, historic city, places of indigenous communities. There are also diverse approaches to see world heritage in their regions, conserving nature, coping with challenges to keep their culture, promoting tourism, and transmitting traditional knowledge. On 7 September, winners of the contest will join the Youth Roundtable to share their memories and experiences regarding the heritage. This will be a great opportunity for the young generation to discuss various ideas about the World Heritage Sites. Thank you very much for your big interest, and I look forward to seeing you at the event soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hyunjae. Well, it seems like our calendar is quite full, but we cannot really say which are the most important things. So please find our further information on all these events at the website of our World Heritage that I shared before. And the result of these events will be shared at the end of the month, which is 30th of September. So please register now so that you can receive updates. We thank you very much for your kind interest. Well, I'm afraid our time is up soon. So Professor Choi, could you close today's session?
Yes.
Professor Choi, you're muted.
Why not? Now it's time to close our opening session. I wish we brought a good introduction to all to understanding why heritage place and memory are so significant for World Heritage issues. I think that we can go together to make World Heritage more credible and communicative to achieve the peacemaking and to make a better world of all humankind. Thanks for all of you to join us today. And I'd like to ask Jihyun to give the final remarks for all of us. Thanks, Jihyun. My role is end here.
Thank you, Professor Choi. Well, the final remarks is, just reminding you of our, interesting events to be held from now on. So once again, I thank you very much for your kind participation today and look forward to meeting you all soon at upcoming events of the month. And our contacts are available at the website. So, well, it's a great pity that we could not have some time for Q&A and discussion further today, but you can always find us through emails and SNS channels. So thank you, goodbye, and see you soon.
Thank you very much. Cheers.